There's actually a lot of little messy little tidbits about getting registered as a Canadian developer. There's that iPhone developer program, and then there's iTunes Connect. They're two different worlds. iTunes Connect is the way that you're interfacing with your app. Even though you might have a 99-cent app and be straight out of school and it's your first thing you kind of done or whatever, you have a same view of the world as like Warner Music. The very first thing that we're going to do, so like say manage your applications. There's Crush Factor, ready for sale. You can remove it for sale. You can update your app. You can edit the information. This is where you get the promo codes. Literally go in, you say, I want 5. So the most important thing that you have to get set up first is the contracts. You see all paid applications, and on my contracts in effect, check marks. For all developers residing in Canada, registered for Canada GST, HST, you must click here. Apple wants you to tell them to elect for GST. That's basically one of the contracts that you have to fill out. They'll collect it and they'll remit it to the government, not also, along with paying everyone in Canada, figure out what type of GST to pass along. They want to do it as a royalty payment.
Is GST only collected for when it's downloaded in Canada, or is it collected for every download in the world?
For Canada.
Cool. So then if someone in Australia buys an app made by a Canadian, do they pay their GST? Or?
No, it's an Australian buying every app, or it's a Canadian buying every app. I'm a Canadian developer or whatever, so what actually happens with the app with Apple is that every single time I buy something from the iTunes store, I'm charged GST. It doesn't matter if I'm buying a Canadian app, Australian app, I actually reside in Canada, I'm paying GST. So now Apple on the backside has big remittance to pay back to the Canadian government, right? World free applications, it's trivial, there's no work to do. Literally, you just say you want that contract and you get it. Because they're basically saying, awesome, you're gonna develop for my platform and I don't even have to worry about giving you any money. Sweet, you can get that one right now. So the other one is the one where you actually make cash. So it's a paid application. Most of the stuff inside this, the first time that you set up, you can't change. You can actually change the contact info though over and over and over again. And then now we'll view my banking info. Gord, you have to take this off the screen. This is basically counts numbers, your banking SWIFT code, getting it all in there. The most important thing to note about your transit number is that you cannot just enter your 5-digit transit number. Be sure to include your 4-digit branch number before it. If your branch number is 3 digits, proceed it with a 0. So I'll give you guys a little demo of what was painful for me, was that I could not get this form to submit because I had to add this 0. Because in the US, this 0004 is always 4 digits. It's 3 digits in Canada.
I ran into the same problem as well, and I actually didn't know I had to include the 4 digits before it ahead of time, so I was actually just including the 5-digit transit number off my check, and it kept on saying, your transit number is not valid, please email Apple. What's the big deal? And it took them 5 days to get back to me. It's good to know these things up front.
That number is the bank number, I think, that's 0004.
It is. It's like TD 004, and then because it's the US, you have to add another 0 in front.
When you're filling that contract page out, everything is self-explanatory. Reading that check, we put the link, a specific link that says, here's a check in Canada and here's what you type in. The only gotcha is not padding whatever the bank code number is with an extra 0, the Canadian gotcha.
The other gotcha is also the SWIFT code. If you don't know what that is, it's just something you have to actually call your bank and say, hey, I'm gonna be doing wire transfers, I need my SWIFT code, and they'll give it to you. But it's not something you can get easily. You actually have to call someone up and ask for it.
Or if you've done a wire transfer to your bank before, you can look it up. But if you haven't done a wire transfer, you probably have never seen your SWIFT code for your bank. The last thing you have to do as a Canadian, obviously, is we have to fill out this form known as a W8BEN. Basically allows Apple to collect income on your behalf. And what we're just trying to do here is be super specific. So it's not great for like presenting or whatever, but we've got like for line 6, you need to get your EIN, which is an employee identification number from the US government. What you're actually trying to do there is basically say, I'm falling under the tax treaty, so you don't have to withhold so much of my money.
And if you don't, then the US government will take another 30% off the money that Apple's already taking. So Apple takes 30, US government takes 30, just get an EIN.
That's actually the number to get your SS4. On the second page, there's a list of instructions telling you what questions to answer based on your getting your EIN. Fill in the questions beside, is a foreign person needing an EIN to comply with ISR withholding regulations? We've got a tax treaty between the US and Canada. Just send me my money. Don't do an extra 30% withholding. The number to call the IRS at is 215-516-6999.
You get an SS4, fill it out yourself, and you call them, and they'll say, okay, what did you put in your SS4? And there are other ways you can do it. You could like fax it to them or mail it to them. If you phone them, you get an EIN at the end of the phone call. If you fax it to them, it takes about 5 to 6 days, and if you mail them, it takes about 5 weeks. So phoning is the way to go. And for the most part, it's just like your address, your business name, etc. Nothing really exciting going on in there. But one of the things that's interesting is when I called them, they would say, okay, and line 10, what does it say? And what they were asking for was in line 11. So I don't know if this was just like a sync up where I had an old version of the SS4, or like the one they have on the phone is a little bit newer perhaps, or maybe even older. But some line numbers weren't the same. So just pay attention to like what they're asking for to make sure that you don't give them like, what's your address, Stephen?
It doesn't take long. It's like less than an hour. How long are you on the phone for?
I was on the phone for 5 minutes.
Yeah, we were on the phone for like 35 minutes. When you're actually filling out this W8BEN form, and you can kind of see that it's in by the screenshot, you're actually inside Apple's universe right now. And try not to make you seasick. But the beneficial owner is claiming the provisions of article, and they leave it blank, of the treaty identified on whatever, blah, 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 line, percent rate, and for what. Because Apple deals with so many different countries, they have this as like a generic parameterized form, and really if you're Canadian, you just put XII and you put royalties. And literally
the percentage is 0%, they don't hold any of your money.
Yeah, that's over here, right? Claiming a 0%. And so literally how I found that out was I actually had to go and find a tax treaty.
They actually had like a cheat sheet kind of thing, and it didn't tell me that I was XII or 0.00%, but they linked me to the page where you could find that, and then it told me what to fill in for, it said put royalties here, and then put Canadian in compliance with royalties.
Like these are all the detailed instructions, which we don't need to see because you guys will do it when you fill it out or whatever, but you'll actually receive your W8BEN as a PDF in an email. So you can see here's mine, my company, Canadian corporation, here's my US taxpayer number, my EIN that I got. Boom, boom, boom. I certify that the first 3 are the ones that you check off, which we said, and those articles holdings that, yeah, I'm allowed to do this. The other gotcha is just the fact that until you actually go to download this available in the App Store app, you don't realize that there's another contract that you have to send to Apple, because you're actually not allowed to use that icon until they give you permission. Right here, to become an authorized licensee, you have to fill out another form. So again, none of this stuff's hard. It's just like, what? All of a sudden I'm going to go put this button on my webpage, and I find out I can't. Okay, I'm not saying a lot of people would or would not stop there, but legally, you actually can't. You need to fill out another form and send it. If you put this button on your website, you can actually just link right to your app, but if you sign up and become an iTunes affiliate, you can claw back another 5% for any sales that you push through your own site. And I was like, oh, I thought that would all be part of my iTunes Connect. And it's a whole separate app called like Link Share or Link Rev or something. And you have to sign up to Link Rev and Link Share and then get a whole thing going with Link Rev and Link Share. And they're US and we're Canadian, which is I'm sure why we're taking like over a month to get approved. So one of those classic things of basically get to the affiliates link, fill it out, just so that if you're gonna have that button on a website or promote that you can control, you can claw back 5%.
When your app is live in the App Store, you're not done. Sales just from being in the App Store are somewhat underwhelming. Like I was getting 10 to 20 a day, so nothing to sneeze at. Still $600 a month if I can maintain that, but it's definitely not a full-time job either. There are tons of websites out there that you can send your app to, try and get them to promote it, try and get them to review it. Most of these websites, and I went through and did a rev of this with my girlfriend, she helped me do the marketing, pretty much almost all of them will have either an email address or a form where you provide them with like the name of your app, a quick description and a promo code, or maybe a few promo codes, and in some cases they want a credit card number too so they can charge you money for it. In my experience, none of it's been groundbreaking yet. For example, I got a review on AppV, and maybe it's because it was 0 out of 5 stars. It wasn't, hugely great. I only got an additional 10 sales the next day. But maybe if I got 5 out of 5 stars, it would have been 100, right? And this is why, for me personally, is I'm refusing to pay for any paid sites until I've got at least one more update on my app, just because I want it to reach a certain level of polish before I'm putting money into have people show it off, right? But again, these are going to ask for promo codes, and on the screen you can see there's a really simple way to get promo codes. You just go to iTunes Connect. There's a button there that says request promo codes. It'll take you to a website that looks just like this. You type in the number, and it gives you a list. And it'll actually give you that as a text file. That little strip you see on the left is actually just a bunch of promo codes that have already been used for my app. The ones that I've used, one is Touch Arcade, and if you're making a game, this is pretty much the website to get your game featured on. If it's on the front page, it's huge. The nice thing about this website is even if you don't get on the front page, you can still get an easy 40, 50 sales by posting about your game in the forums with a promo code. Like that's what I did on my first day, and I got about probably 20 to 30 sales from that, and then a few more over the next couple of days. So it's nothing earth-shattering, but it's a good start. Another one is called iPhone App Podcast. This is an example of a paid site. They charge you from $5 to $50, and that includes like varying levels of exposure, plus a Twitter push, if you give them some promo codes for that. The $50 mark is the gigantic one at the top, and the $25 marks are the little ones below it. And then the $5 ones are actually like little tiny things to the side. 148 Apps is another website like this. 148 apps is the maximum number of apps you can have on your iPhone at a time. I guess their goal is like find the top 148 apps. They will not necessarily review your app unless they like it, because I sent my app to them and the next day they'd post it on their website, but they'd put it in the new apps tab in the middle of a list. It wasn't featured anywhere, it was just kind of archived there. Fresh Apps is almost a dig style iPhone app website. Technology I've been using for Cast Conflict, and I believe MJ used it for Crush Factor as well, is a website called User Voice. And this is getting to the whole idea of crowdsourcing and asking your users what they want. It's almost, again, another dig style thing. Basically, it gives users the ability to suggest things like, I want different levels. I think you should fix this annoying bug. And then they can vote on it. It could be easy to let them drive your development, and you shouldn't necessarily be doing that because users have a different motivation than you. You're looking for what's going to help your app be good and make sales. They're looking for what they want. So everything that they ask for is work from you, not work from them. And for them, the users who are using this have already paid, so it's free. They're not necessarily asking for things that would help them make a sale, that would like convince them to buy it, because they've already bought it.
I was just trying to figure out whether it's worth, like, there's the free part of it, and whether it's worth going into the paid subscription.
I'd say it's probably worth going free for now, because if you look at the paid price, it's quite a steep. $20 is unlimited forums, but still only 100 voters. It's $90 just for 1,000 voters, so it is not a cheap tool if you're getting to the high levels. For the purposes of a single app, a free forum is probably enough.
Free to see if anyone cares. If they care and it's going, well then upgrade.
Remember that the users who use your user voice are most likely to be your most devoted users, so they're the ones you want to please because they'll talk about you. So you kind of have to find a balance between your design goals, what you want the app to be, and what's feasible in terms of like time frame. That actually allows you to show your users this feature is going to be in the future. Say, just like Pinch Media, let it be a guide, don't let it be a director.
So this would have to be a link off the website.
So here we go, here's Castle Conflicts.
You have like a little JavaScript line you can put on your page.
This is the feedback tab, so in their admin page, you can just copy and paste this HTML, put it right before the HTML tag at the end of your web page you want it in, and it's just a nice little red bar on the button. Click on it, and your user voice page appears over top of your page.
You guys are Pinch Media. This is what we're going to be using for analytics. It's so easy to wire in analytics. It's crazy once you see it. Just so you know what's going on inside your app. Because Apple reports, but they don't tell you inside your app what's going on. Inside of my app, I've got a little eraser button. I want to know how many times people press that eraser button in my app. So I have a little pinch call that says, someone press the eraser. So I can go and look at my pinch analytics and say, whoa, that's the #1 press button in my app. And it just happens to be, right? It just happens to be. The cool part about Pinch Media is that because so many guys have used them, they now have aggregated data from 30 million downloads. It's a 24 rolling window of units downloaded. Key point is that being able to bunch up publicity is the best. It doesn't mean you have to have one bang, you got one shot, and if you don't make that one shot, you might as well write it off. It means that rather than a marketing campaign that says, I'm gonna do something on Monday, I'm gonna do something on Tuesday, I'm gonna do something on Wednesday, I'm gonna do something on Thursday, you're better off to say, whatever I was gonna do, I'm gonna do it all today, right? Whatever your press release is, whatever marketing you're gonna buy, whatever friends that you can have go buy your app, you're much better off with a big bang or bunched up publicity for your app versus slow drip. Why does anyone care if you get on the top 100 list? So take Steven, right? Steven just cracked the top 100. So it means that by just getting on the top 100 list, you get 2.3 times more users. That's the argument of why you want to bunch up your publicity. You get 2.3 times more users, which is huge. So there's obviously greater gains from getting in the top 10, the top 25 or whatever. The kind of the point from the Pinch guys, Greg, is that it's more variable. He can't give this average number, but it's often another order of magnitude. It's not permanent. Apple's App Store is structured for maximum turnover. If you hit the top 100 or the top whatever, you want to hold on to that spot for as long as possible, but Apple's literally trying to figure out which app next month is going to be the top 25. Total users, and then this is they had a high price, and then boom, they cut the price obviously by 50%, and look at the difference in users. This is a point of why Steven's gonna try a price cut. A price cut here, he actually loses 50% of the income per sale. However, On the other side, it's a 10x number of more downloads. So of course you're going to take a divide by 2 for a 10x because you're up times 5. Right? You're net up times 5 on your profits from your application. You don't know, when you look at this, you don't know, say, was this in a day or is this in a month? I think the takeaway though, there is insane friction at like even $1.99. You go to a movie and you're spending $50 and you maybe get 2.5 hours, $20 per entertainment hour, and you maybe get Steven's game and maybe it's good for an hour, still 10x less than a movie. Case study B, not so well-timed price cut. These guys' total users is going up regardless of what they did. So these guys basically cranked it down and lost 2 times the economic value of that. And then they realized that by cutting the price in half, it did not change their app at all. So boom, they put it back up. In this area here is all the money they lost. This is basically raising your price. You're much better off to do like how Steven's doing, $1.99, crank it down, try and add something more so people are like, oh, you do multiplayer now so you can play this app for hours, bang, crank it back up to $1.99. Here's the tips from the guys at Pinch. Don't mess with positive download trend. Decreasing price is often worthwhile. After you've been broadly exposed, experiments have less effect. Super apps that everyone's talking about, any little tweak that you're doing in your app, no one cares. The average price cut increased demand by 130%. The average price increase drops demands to 25%. The reason why I wanted to bring this deck up, they have the most currently available data, right? What do you need to get on a list for free applications, top 25 versus top 100, downloads during the holidays? They believe that 50% of all sales in the App Store are from games. Users returning percent of day 0, after 3 months, nobody even runs your free app. If you're trying to make money selling ads, if people don't use your free app a lot, you can't make money selling ads. You can see paid applications drop off slower. I thought this was interesting. Which apps get the most usage over time? So you can see down there, utilities actually drop off the fastest. And you can see sports kind of win out on the most area at the head. Games and sports and entertainment for sure have the most usage over time. Users stop using the average application pretty quickly. Long-term audiences are generally 1% of total downloads. Paid applications generally retain their users longer than free apps. You know, you actually wanted to spend money, so you weren't just willing to download something and go, man, that was dumb. Or 2, commitment and consistency has been invoked, and because you paid money, you actually want to play it more. Applications showing ads periodically also care about session length for obvious reasons, right? So in general, every second the app's open is a second to be seen or recommended by others, right? Time spent across all apps, basically at best, on average, is 7 minutes. So it's interesting when you're building your app that the average is 7 minutes you're actually going to acquire someone's attention. So again, this is just another chart in average time, but paid is above free. Engagement by category, so time spent in minutes. Look at games. Nothing touches games for how long people are spending on their phone. So AdMob also has an analytics framework. I actually prefer Pinch Analytics, but if you're going to put an ad in your free app, you should use AdMob. However, I used to be much more enthusiastic about advertising than I am today. Total application runs since first use, free versus paid ratio. In his analysis between a free app and a paid app, he's basically saying you're getting 70 cents per user on the paid app. Can the average application make more than 70 cents off of advertising in 80 sessions? And the answer is not even close. Unless you are actually like a top 10 free app, you're much better off putting 99 cents on your app. Advertising rates of 50 cents to $2 CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. That's high. If you're on your app and you're serving like someone else's inventory through AdMob, you're probably not there. So this calculation is quite generous, right? Quite generous. Like if you look at an AdSense CPM, it can be 1 cent, 2 cents, 0.01 cent. What I like about this presentation is that it gave me clarity to not go free, because I'm better off to charge and then go free. And then when I'm free, I probably advertise my next app versus advertising, right? I might as well go free and say, oh, and here's my next game versus free thing I'm gonna make cash. Here's kind of his point about what's different. If your app is exceptionally sticky, so imagine that you built a free Twitter client. So they're running your app every single day, like on the hour. You can make some decent money on ads that way because people are constantly running your app. You know, do you think it's sticky? Do you not think it's sticky? Does someone need to run it every day? Because it's easy to say if a Twitter app's sticky. Okay, your implementation might not be sticky. Like no one might like your version of a Twitter client, but if they love your version of your Twitter client, why are they not going to use that every day? Only a few, less than 5% make sense on ads. Like if it just screams it needs to be free, they're fine or whatever. Otherwise, you just sell it. Once you've got your analytics in your app, you'll watch your sessions per user over time. Within a few weeks, you'll know if you've got a sticky app. Over time, after people have a phone for a while, they experiment way less. Like, you know, you first get your iPhone, you first get your iPod Touch, and you're like, oh, I'll download that, I'll download that. You're like, ah. There's definitely error bars in this data, but the reason why I wanted to present it was that it's the only data you have out there. So basically you have this data, plus you wire pinch into your app, and that's all you got.